Our first and only review of the day is going to be for the film Wicked for Good. Wicked for Good is the sequel to the first Wicked movie there. This is the adaptation of the smash hit Broadway musical, the smash hit Broadway musical that turned into a smash hit movie. The first Wicked there, grossing over $700 million there, became the highest grossing Broadway musical adaptation ever there. Multiple Oscar nominee and also winner there. I think it won quite a bit of Oscars as well there.
Costumes
Last
and makeup, I think.
yeah, and I can see that being nominated again this time around there. But what is
Mhm.
going on in this sequel, Wicked for Good? There, well, in this Wicked for Good, there, Elphaba has now been branded officially the Wicked Witch of the West. There, and you see that the whole land of Oz knows that she is a villain, but she's still trying to do her best to save the people of Oz, save the animals of Oz. There, to expose the evilness of the propaganda of the masters of Oz. There, specifically the wizard there, who's played by Jeff Goldblum. And then one of her main opposition is Glinda there, who is still played by Ariana Grande there, who is struggling between staying loyal to her friend Elphaba there, Cynthia Erivo, and trying to serve her new masters of Jeff Goldblum, Michelle Yeoh, who is the wizard, and who is Madame Marble there. And in the mix of all that, you got a nice love triangle going on there between the two of them and Fiyero there. You also have the movie of Wizard of Oz playing in the background of this as well. That's thrown into here. But yes, that's kind of the setup you have of this Wicked for Good movie. I'll pass around and get you guys' thoughts on this. Kristina, what are your thoughts? Wicked for Good.
Well, as someone who's seen the musical, and this is something that I've noticed with a lot of people who've reviewed the movie, a lot of us expected this to be very difficult to adapt. Um, Act two has always been the weaker act. Like most musicals, Act twos are usually the ones they don't have some of the most memorable songs. Sometimes they're really like it could be very like the pacing can be sloppy and rushed, and and I understand the critique, but I felt like as someone who knows the musical, I was expecting this to also be the case, even though they kind of added a few things. I still love the movie, but I do feel like we could have gotten a little bit more fleshed out with some of the characters, a little bit more Wizard of Oz in the background. But like this movie went by a lot faster than I at home. I was like, whoa, slow down. I'm like, I need, there's there's just a lot going on. But I was still like overwhelmed and like in awe because a lot of the singing is done live. A lot of people were complaining about Michelle Yeoh and Jeff Goldblum, and I'm like, listen, if they made Wonderful like a jazzy sort of number, he probably would have nailed it better because he does have jazz albums. He does sing jazz. He actually has a jazzy rendition of Popular that's going viral right now. Michelle Yeoh, no, she cannot sing, so I don't know why we're criticizing her when she knows for a fact she can't sing. It's a lot better than like Pierce Bronson and Russell Crowe. I mean, also too, it's not like she sung a lot. Um, Given it a PG rating, considering As Long as You're Mine is supposed to be, well, it's basically when Fiyero and Elphaba make love for the first time. If I had directed it, it would have been just a montage of them making love different ways as they're singing in the air in the background, but I get the PG rating. They could have made this because Act Two is always was darker than Act One. They could have made this a PG-13 movie because even kids have to have their parents with them to a PG-13 movie. I saw Nosferatu on Christmas Day, and parents brought their kids to see Nosferatu because I guess they couldn't get babysitters on Christmas Day. I know, that kind of like ruined the experience for me. But no kids when I saw Wicked for Good, so I was excited. I was like, oh, thank God I could go feral when Jonathan Bailey goes shirtless and but overall I loved it. I feel like there's probably a lot of stuff that got cut that I'm hoping that John M. Chu releases like a Wicked like director's cut like unlimited version perhaps so we can get part one and two together because I know there were some screenings of both movies together. I couldn't go to the ones because it was during the day and I was working. So but phenomenal performances, some good interesting tie-ins, some expansion on a few things. They could have added more. But yeah, what do you have to say?
Yeah, Chris, what are your thoughts? Wicked for Good.
Yeah, I agree with Kristina. I really enjoyed it, but we're talking spoilers. I thought more time could have been spent with the dramatic and kind of sad transformations that these characters undergo. Because walking out of part one, another movie I really enjoyed, um, I knew walking out of that theater, part two is going to be sad, darker in tone, potentially how far they want to go with the transformation, maybe a little, body horror. It kind of
Yeah.
teetered with the Tin Man transformation. Um, but yeah, besides that, I really enjoyed it. I loved how political it is with the wizard, Jeff Goldblum trying to target sentient beings and deny them the right to live a dignified life the way they want to. The governor, what's
Nessa?
Nessa, um,
Mhm.
targeting uh, animals, targeting munchkins, denying them the right to leave, and
She set ice on the Munchkins, like.
seriously, that was crazy. And this whole public smear campaign on Elphaba is very very political. I really enjoyed that part, and I love, this is a part two. It picks up right where we left off. I love seeing the repercussions of the choices that were made in part one, where we are now. People who were once friends, people who used to love each other, people used to look out for each other and have each other's back. Now we're here. Now it's like, I need you now, and where are you? Now it's, oh, so you two all along, but what about me? It's just a lot of that. A lot of the characters in part two were very angry. Everyone's angry. Everyone's sad, and I really liked that delicious drama and that tension. Um, and yeah, I think it'd be really cool if this time John M. Chu was nominated for Best Director, because I think he deserves it. I think he did a great job at being at the helm of these two films that filmed all in one go, which is why we're getting it a year later, instead of waiting
Mhm.
2 or 3 years for the sequel. And also Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, I thought they killed it once again, and I think it'd be cool. They're both nominated for Best Lead and Best Supporting.
Very nice. Yeah. So this being the second half, and then my understanding from people who have seen the Broadway musical was that the second half is typically the weaker half of the story. The first half is pretty much considered the best one. So it's
Mhm.
interesting that is out there for some Broadway people there. And apparently them doing the second one, they did add a lot of things and change a lot of things. So it's not a strict direct adaptation from the
Yeah.
Broadway musical to the
But they
screen.
definitely could have. I did like the addition to the songs because I love how Cynthia's like singing, she's singing, and then all of a sudden the Cowrie line, "This wicked witch ruined my life. Don't listen to a word she says." And I'm like, Coleman Domingo, yeah. He did so well though. Like I was like, also too, props to the CGI. Hey Disney, that's how you show a line with emotion, okay?
Mm.
Like I was like, oh my god! I was like, because it's like I'm like tearing like during this, and then he just pops out of nowhere. I'm like, what? I was like, oh my god, it's the Cowrie Lion. He actually gets a scene because in the musical, all we see is like the Tin Man pulling his tail like off stage, but we actually get to see him. He actually has a scene because I feel like they needed that type of closure for in a way for Elphaba and the Cowrie Lion. They could have done more. Again, they could have done more with the Fab Four, but there were certain things that they took from the Wizard of Oz, like the fact that the slippers are still silver, but they glow ruby when Nessa's given the ability to fly, which I like that they did that because in the show they flash a red light on the silver slippers because MGM owns the copyright to the ruby slippers and to the legs and feet under the house. So we never got to see Nessa's legs, unfortunately. Like a lot of people are like, I wanted to see that. I'm like, well, we can't. MGM has the copyright. So if Universal were to buy out Warner Brothers, that would be good because Warner Brothers is also promoting The Wizard of Oz and making little Wicked tie-ins, like sharing stuff of the Scarecrow and the Wicked Witch of the West. So it's like, oh, they I'm like, okay. And I would rather have Universal buy out Warner Brothers anyway because Universal Studios, they could add more characters to that. But there were a few things, again, like Bach. A lot of people didn't think Ethan Slater had it in him, and I'm like, yeah, because you guys have only seen him as SpongeBob SquarePants. But I'm like, he's a trained Broadway actor. He can belt, he can show emotion, he can be angry, and he did it. And I did it. I just posted a TikTok a few hours ago of like, how is the Scarecrow during March of the Witch Hunters? Because we do see all of them briefly. We do see the Scarecrow in March of the Witch Hunters, and I'm like, I'm wondering if people picked up on his outfit, and so like, and people were like writing in like, where's this going on, The Wizard of Oz? And I'm like, so I've kind of created a timeline of explaining like what is going on in The Wizard of Oz with the like near the end of Wicked for Good.
Okay, I need to watch that because I think that'll help me there,
Yeah.
especially just seeing The Wizard of Oz for the first time there a couple of days ago. And with this as well, it'd be interesting because if you've never seen Wizard of Oz and you're just watching Wicked movies, how much would it all make sense to you? It's like, oh, this little girl, farm girl, shows up and beats this powerful Elphaba, and it's like, well, beats her in a sort of way there. It's like, but how and why do they trust this little girl and what's kind of going on there? So it'd be interesting from that perspective. Chris, what do you think about that? Do you think if you've never seen Wizard of Oz before, do you think that's kind of a big missing gap for people if they just watch Wicked?
I mean, at the most, it'll be something you don't have context for. I don't think it would harm your overall understanding or enjoyment of the film. But obviously, if you've seen Wizard of Oz, it will definitely enhance your enjoyment. You'll catch those Easter eggs and those connections and those tie-ins. But what I like about part two or For Good is that, for me at least, it felt a lot more character driven. Like, it's less catchy, danceable songs and more ballads that are just conveying emotion because that's how you share information in a musical, through song. And I still think that Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande together do a good job of really anchoring the movie overall. So I don't think not seeing Wizard of Oz, not understanding who Dorothy is, I think they say her name once
Yeah.
in
I think
the movie.
It's funny because we barely see like her face like near the end, but it's funny because like Glinda says her name, and then of course Elphaba says her name because she's like, monkeys, find me Dorothy. Because a lot of people were like, how come during March of the Witch Hunters they're in the forest? I'm like, well, because they're leading the angry mob, but they're still going to the forest to try to get to the castle, which is why we see Dorothy's perspective of the winged monkeys, snatching her.
Yeah. There you go.
So there, again, a lot of this is very, very, very quick, which is why I'm like, we could have had a little more fleshed out, a little bit more, for that, because I feel like, again, but it's not Dorothy's story, it's Glinda Elphaba's story. But when the backdrop of the Wizard of Oz is happening in the second half of part two, it's like, yeah, they could have added a few more things, but I did notice something immediately when I was watching the movie, and a lot more people are picking up on as well. In Madame Morrible says, and I quote, "These things must be done delicately before she gets the tornado," which is what the Wicked Witch of the West says in The Wizard of Oz. And I kept thinking this too. I kept thinking, I'm like, are they going to have like an essence, a little whisper, a march of the Winkies, the Winky soldiers, that yo we yo chant? It is. They do that in the beginning of March of the Witch Hunters, but like in reverse in the beginning. And I mean, I was like sitting in Vanilla. I was like, oh, they did that. Little nod to that, because I was wondering if they were going to do that in somewhere. I like those little Easter eggs that they kept adding, that they were not just going to, just for part one, but they add them in this movie as well.
Interesting. And like I said, you do see some of the people. They're not the focus of it, but you do see the cast of the Wizard of Oz there. You see the Cowardly Lion, who's introduced in this, who's played by Colman Domingo, who only has like one scene of dialogue there.
Yeah. Forrest is like, I'm only going to see the movie for him. I'm like, he's literally gonna be in like he only has like 2 lines. Okay, but
You know,
well, if Steven Schwartz wants to make more Wicked movies, I'm like, he can make a musical version of A Line Among Men, which is Gregor Maguire's novel about the Cowardly Lions perspective of the Wicked story.
Nice.
oh, okay. We going
Yep.
it's gonna be like 4 separate movies,
Coleman
everybody from
Domingo
their
to
own
sing and
perspective.
dance. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I mean, he also wrote a novel about one of the evil stepsisters' perspective about Cinderella. So,
Okay. But yeah, I mean, and Coleman to me, it seems like he's only in that one time there. They animated the hell at that lion because every time you see him, like he's scared of his own shadow. And I get he's supposed to be the cowardly lion, but damn, bro.
yeah,
Like,
he's gonna be king of the forest. Oh man, imagine if they had. Oh man, for fun, they should have had a Coleman Domingo sing a little bit. Of, I were king of the forest, just
okay.
because it would be so funny. Because a lot, because for those, well, spoiler alert, Elphaba and Nessa's father dies of like shock because of Elphaba being labeled the Wicked Witch of the West or whatever, and Nessa Rose, the heir apparent, takes over Munchkinland as governess, and she's kind of had like Bach trapped in like a slave. In the novel, he actually has been cheating on her and has like all these kids from all these different women apparently, if I remember.
Wow.
So he's over like but he still has feelings for Glinda, and Elphaba goes to visit Nessa, and Nessa's like, you weren't there when father died and didn't go to his funeral, and I'm over here thinking why he hated her. Like I'm like, Nessa, you didn't see how your father treated her, like come on. And so Nessa unfortunately reads some stuff in the Grimoire that's probably not even the right language, and Bach loses his heart, and Elphaba has to fix that.
Yeah. And
they really were leading on thick that Bach was going to be timid because he kept chopping wood. And I'm like, it was bad enough you gave him the last name Woodsman. I mean, also, too, he did the little, in the first movie when he meets Glinda. But it's like, there's so many Easter eggs that I paid attention to and listed. That even when people were listing Easter eggs for this movie, I was like, okay, cool, but I found even more.
Yeah. And it's good. Ethan Slater, he's really good in there, and he's, like I said, he's out for vengeance. He's like, man, burn that witch. I want to get that witch for.
I know that's the same guy who sings "If I Only Had a Heart."
Yeah, he's mad there.
I cry. He's like, I cry a lot, and I'm like, you better have the oil can with you.
But I mean, I think this movie is still carried well by Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. I still think they do a good job in it. I wouldn't say I was impressed so much by the songs in this, like how I was the first one. I don't think there's any great ones like Popular or Defying Gravity.
As long as you're mine and No Good Deed and For Good, like the 3 like songs that everybody like listens to from like from Act 2. And also too, in the musical, Glinda's not part of Wonderful. I think adding her into the Wonderful number was a smart idea because it helps seduce Elphaba more to join the wizard again and be wonderful.
Yeah. What do you think, Chris? Do you think the songs here are lesser than the first one, or?
So my favorite song in the show is "Dancing Through Life." I sing that song all the time, and it's the best. But here I have to say, even though it's a good balance between Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, for me, Glinda really in the movie For Good, she really shined here. And when she's being the public figure and they're telling everyone, Glinda and Fiyero are getting engaged, and we know where Fiero's heart really lies, before he parts ways, he goes, you know what, I'll marry you if that makes you happy. And she goes, oh, well, wouldn't that make you happy too? And he goes, oh, me, I'm always happy. That's not what she wants to hear. And you can see that in her face. And then he takes off. And then she has to sing in a somber way, couldn't be happier. That song, that performance, I'm like, with context, with the story, the songs in part 1 and part 2 for me hit harder emotionally, especially the song For Good. When they, when Glinda thinks Elphaba is dead, that was her best friend, and the way they part ways, the way it was shot with the door splitting them.
Yeah. It wasn't even intentional. They just I think they filmed that like as a rehearsal scene, and they're like, nope, yeah, that's gonna be in the movie.
Yeah, keeping it was great. Yeah, just emotionally. And I put it in my out of the theater reaction. I remember when I was in 8th grade, 13 years old, when I saw it on Broadway. I did like, I'm a kid. I did like the first act a lot more than the second act. I did think the second act dragged and got boring. I'm like, okay, is it over yet? Like, Defying Gravity was amazing. Like, nothing here is like really meeting that. And now, as an adult, watching these films back to back, a year later, I gotta say I really enjoyed For Good more than part one, just because of the emotion. And we talked about Bach and how pissed he is with Nessa and just keeping up that facade until he couldn't anymore. He sees in the newspaper that the woman he does love is getting married. He goes, I gotta go. She goes, what? I was like, I love her.
You don't need me anymore. You can fly now. It's like, no, that's not why she wants you, dude. Like, you're the only guy who ever noticed her.
Yeah. And then she goes over to the Grimmery and just does the thing, doesn't know what she's saying, is saying the wrong words, and just his heart, you can feel his heart shrinking. I'm like, oh, this, I liked that. I'm like, oh, like how far are we going to lean into this? And I like seeing the rings like fly, like lash onto his fingers.
Yeah, like basically all the metal just flies onto him.
Yeah, like I think he kicked over a pan. I think he fell and knocked over the tray. And I was like, oh, like this is all like latching on. Yeah, he's becoming the Tin Man. I like that. I just wanted more of it. It just
stupid PG rating.
Yeah.
That's gonna be like that whole thing. Like or even like a lot of people were saying like, oh, with God, was it? What was it thinking? Oh, so like that a lot of people were coming out of this movie thinking like a lot of neoliberals think they're Elphaba, but really they're Glinda. I'm like, yeah, I mean the Wicked novel, The Wizard's a fascist. Elphaba's a radical Marxist revolutionary activist for these animals, and Glinda is a neoliberal. That's all about keeping up the status quo, pleasing the masses, keeping up that everything is fine when it's really not. And it gets to the point where she just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And you see that with Glinda. I think maybe the first part was more Elphaba's story. I think.
A lot of people were saying that, like, part one's Elphaba, like building up Elphaba's character, and part two is building up Glinda's character.
A lot more with Glinda.
I think I agree, because in part one we see more of Elphaba's life, her childhood, and a younger version of her. Here we see that with Glinda, a younger version of her. And
Scarlet, I know her. I was like, oh, you were so good.
She always yearned to be magical. She always, like, since she was a child, she got that wand and like, I demand magic. It happens right now, and
it doesn't.
She did, and it doesn't. And then there's a rainbow, and they're like, "Oh, did you do that?" She goes, "Of course." I'm like,
"Yeah."
So like,
rainbow.
It definitely was more Glinda's story, and it felt that way. And I guess that was intentional because, she really shined here, character wise.
Yeah, even her voice seems, because I mean, apparently, for those who don't know, 5 years have passed between both, like in the timeline. It's been 5 years, and I'm like, God damn. So also, Ariana's voice is more mature in part two. I've noticed that too. I'm like, wow, she's not singing like those high, like life lyric soprano type notes. She's really like belting them out now.
Yeah, and I think Ariana Grande is still good. She still balances it pretty well of being, good humorous there, and with some of the emotional scenes with it. I think some of the stuff there, as far as Elphaba's whole plan of what she wants to do, it's understandable, but it's like the way she's executing it, I don't think makes the best of sense there. She's like the ultimate example of like, you literally make everything worse. Like, anybody ever told you like, you make everything worse? Like, that's literally like her whole life story of anytime she tries to do good or insert herself in anything, she just makes it kind of worse there. And
that's the whole point of the song No Good Deed. She finally embraces the Wicked Witch of the West label.
Yeah, she finally just says that the world needs a villain, and then she has to be that villain for Oz there. And I still think production design, I mean, set design, all that's still the same. I mean, they filmed this back to back, so all that's still kind of strong there. And I still think the relationship between Glinda and between Elphaba is still very strong. One of the cornerstones of this. I just think some of the other stuff is kind of weaker. I think the story is kind of weaker. I think some of the songs are weaker there. Even though you mentioned like No Good Deed that's good. I like that one. The For Good one is also very well done. But yeah, I think some of that is kind of weaker as well there. And this is 30 minutes shorter as well. This is
I
like
know
2
it
hours.
could have been 30 minutes longer. That's why, in my opinion, this one should have been the longer movie. Like there's a lot of stuff in the trailer that's like not even in the, and I'm like, what? I'm like, what plan? Because remember, Glenda's like, I have a plan. Oh wait, I don't. And I'm like, where's that at? Because that would have made sense for a lot of people to think, how did they come up with this plan of her, the water and the, because again, a lot of people are like, how come she's able to cry? Can't water melt her? And I'm like, oh, you're in for a surprise.
So
the thing is, I've heard, I think in the Wicked novel, water just burns her. Like it doesn't actually kill her. It's like she's sensitive to water. That's why she's always bathing in like milk and oil. And that's why everyone made fun of the way she smelled too. And now that I'm remembering more stuff, because again, the only thing I really remember from the novel was the intimate moment between Fiora and Elphaba where she's like, will my breasts, will you? And I'm like, I'm reading this when I'm 12 years old, reading this after I saw the musical, thinking the musical was what, because they market it like it's the musical, because it was the original Broadway playbook cover, and they had photos from the Broadway show. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, no, this is not like the musical at all. Fiora and the Scarecrow are completely different people. They're not like, believe it, like a lot of people are like, what? I'm like, yeah, that was all Steven Schwartz's idea to bring more ties into the Wizard of Oz, which I actually do like. Because again, more ties into the Wizard of Oz, the nostalgia of it all, and some stuff makes sense considering, Fiero ends up being the Scarecrow. He's been kind of like watching from afar, like, Tin Man, Bach, wait, you're the lion cub that I rescued? Like, because again, you just see a glimpse of the Scarecrow and the lion, and of course the Tin Man singing March of the Witch Hunter. So it's like, like a lot of people are like, gasping. It's like, some people, a lot of Southerners can't afford to go see the show in New York City or on tour. So like a lot of like gasping and like, oh my God. And women moaning in the theater. I mean, me moaning in the theater with Jonathan Bailey shirtless and removing those suspenders. I was like, yeah, let's go. And then it's like, oh man, this is not Bridgerton. This is Wicked for Good.
Yeah, when he turned into the Scarecrow, did anybody think he looked like Ryan Reynolds a little bit? Like,
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I'm seeing a lot of behind the scenes clips. He looks better in like the stupid low quality behind the scenes clips with his makeup artist than in the movie. So it's all about lighting and camera angles, because Jonathan Bailey said this. He wore blue contacts as Fiero. I didn't really notice, but because he has naturally brown eyes. And he was doing like promo with Jeff Goldblum, and Jeff Goldblum was like, what? You wear blue contacts? I gotta see this again. And so with the Scarecrow, he removes his contacts, so he has his natural brown eyes. And with that makeup, it kind of gives him that Ryan Reynolds bone structure. I mean, he could have put the hat back on. They could have made it look more like Ray Bolger, but like I guess they could. I don't know. But it was like, but it's so funny. I saw a TikTok where someone was like, how did Fiero go from like, the trouble with schools is they always try to teach the wrong lesson, to they tore my legs off and threw them over there. Then they tore my chest out and threw it over there.
Yeah. And
I was like, he's acting. He's putting on a performance.
And when he becomes the Scarecrow, that seems kind of body horrifying, because they basically almost like lynch him, kind of. I mean, basically.
Yeah, he's strung up and they're beating him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like kind of.
And you
crazy.
slowly see straw in his outfit too. When I noticed that too, I was like, oh. And again, more people are like, wait a minute. I'm like, man, you guys haven't seen the show, huh? You are in for a treat.
It's like, as it's happening, Elphaba is doing the spell, make him have no bones, let him shed let his blood not stain, like make him so he can't feel no pain, make it so he can't die, make him like impervious to so.
Yeah, and that's the only, and also too in the Grimmery, you can see like when she's performing the spell, the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
Like I was like, crap. I was like paying attention to it because I've already seen it twice. But there's a giant elephant in the room when it comes to fear of being the Scarecrow and Elphaba, them being together now that he's a scarecrow.
Mm.
Is it a corn husk he's got underneath there? Cucumber, 2 plums. She's getting that morning straw, not the morning wood.
Morning.
I mean, I can't. I love the Wicked TikToks because everyone's like asking the real questions. I'm like, well, also too, technically, if you read the Wicked novels, like Son of a Witch, she's technically pregnant with their son.
Whoa.
Oh, because they do what, Son of a Witch, right? Or something like that, you said?
Make that into a show. That would be interesting. But like, it also too, like, as long as your mind got so many mixed reviews, because a lot of people are like, oh, they got no chemistry. Oh, they're not even together during the song. And it's like, because of the PG rating, even in the musical, it's more romantic and like darker because like they're kneeling in front of each other. And it's like, you can tell they're about to actually do it. Like, I mean, in the end of the song, they do end up in bed, obviously, but it's like, oh man, she puts on that ugly ass gray fucking shrug, and it's like she's wearing a sexy teddy underneath it. I'm like, keep that on, like though, like all the people with like their like gray shrugs on TikTok, just like Elphaba seducing Fiero with the shawl, and I'm like, oh man, and everyone's like, I'm confused, and I'm like, go see the movie, you'll get it. Yeah. But when he takes off his suspenders, my theater, I mean, it was even beyond feral. The noises that were coming out of I was like, oh my Lord. Because Jonathan Bailey, no offense to, you guys, but what did you guys do to get Jonathan Bailey to be on your team? I'm just saying.
Well, I mean,
it's not fair.
I mean, he's gay, right?
Yeah, and everyone's like, what the hell? How does he get so many like straight women to love him? I'm like, because he I guess he's not the stereotypical gay man, but at the same time, he's also a masculine dude who embraces his feminine side. That could be it. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. I'm sorry, but like, he really blew up with Bridgerton, and everyone's like, damn.
He was the best part of Rebirth.
Yeah, and also he was in the gender swap production of Company, Stephen Sondheim's musical on the West End, and he played Jamie, the male counterpart to Amy in the regular show, where he sings "Getting Married Today," which is probably one of Stephen Sondheim's most difficult songs to sing. I'm a fast talker, and even I struggle to sing it sometimes because that's one of I've done a production of Company, and people were amazed at how fast I was able to do that song. I'm like, yeah. It's all about breath control, because even if you can talk fast, you have to also make sure that you're enunciating so people understand what you're saying.
Of course.
Yeah. What did you think about the relationship there, Chris, between Elphaba and Fiero? Did you like it? Did you think it was well fleshed out? Or
I think the seeds were planted in part one. When they come back from either coming or going from Ozdust, when he's kind of being dragged by Glinda. He's looking back, looking for Elphaba. I'm like, yeah, he's clearly he's more into her than he is to Glinda.
He's been thinking.
Yeah, he's been thinking, and I love that when he loses his brain, he doesn't lose his memory of Elphaba. He still manages to remember how he feels about her. I thought that was beautiful, because you would think losing his brain, he would lose his knowledge, his ability to think. And his memories, but he doesn't.
He just needed a degree to reassure him that he probably does have a brain.
And where the Tin Man is like, what'd you do to me? What'd you do to me? He says, Elphaba, you saved me. Like she's like apologizing, like, oh my God, like what have I done? I'm so sorry. He goes, like, no, you saved my life. I was going to die, and you made it so I couldn't be harmed. Like I was like,
just don't remove his straw and he's fine. Meanwhile, with the Tin Man, it's like you just have an oil can with you 24/7. You're fine. Just don't cry. Like, come on, dude. Like, also, a lot of people. Do you guys think Glinda knew that was Bach when he looked up at her during March? I think she realized it was him.
I think she could tell.
Like she realized like the ramifications of her actions by first of all not really giving Bach much attention. Being with the wizard and pretending everything's fine, and all the gaslighting is being done about Elphaba. It's, part of it is her fault, because have no fear that a woman scorned. She said, do something about her sister. That'll get her attention. And Madame Morrible's like, okay, I'm not going to just do a rumor. I'm going to kill this bitch. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
And even after Nessa Rose treated Elphaba like crap, she still felt terrible. that
Mm.
she couldn't save her sister. I mean,
Yes.
that sex was so good with Fiera that she was having visions. Also, too, you go inside that. Go inside. What are you doing out there all alone in your wheelchair? That's screaming for Bob. Get in shelter somewheres.
Why was she outside?
That could have been that scene could have come a lot better. I mean, we don't actually. The thing is, we don't see that happening in the musical, if I remember. But it's like, oh come on, they could have done something a little bit better. Like, I don't know.
The governess has no entourage.
Yeah.
The governess who's in a wheelchair has no entourage. Why is she? It's nighttime. She's by herself. That was
maybe they were like, we're gonna board up and leave her outside because she is a dictator technically. So
that part too. Maybe no one wants to protect her because she banned Munchkins from leaving without a permit.
I mean, if I was Nessa, I would be a dictator towards the Munchkins for how they treated me and my sister, despite us being the daughters of the governor. But apparently, it was all about Box. So again, you could have let me write some stuff in the.
And how does Glinda maintain, this ruse that everything's okay when that's happening in Munchkinland?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. Because even she's like, "Oh, cyclones, they come," and Elphaba's like, "Really? You believe that bullshit?" Like,
yeah.
I'll get you guys' final thoughts. We'll go do a quick little spoiler talk after that. And rating there, Chris. Final thoughts, rating. What you got for Wicked for Good?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I loved the darker tone. I love the it's more mature than part one. I love the emotion in the songs. I love the fallout of a lot of these relationships that were so beautiful and just beaming and blossoming in part one, and just seeing it all kind of come undone in this one. Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, they killed it. I hope John M. Chu is nominated. I just wish it was longer. I wish those dramatic and dark transformations of the Scarecrow and the Tin Man and even Nessa Rose. I wish we had more time to kind of expand on that and really show just a little bit more of those transformations. Like for me, I wanted it a bit darker. I wanted them to go to a certain level, and then they kind of danced around it, which is it's okay, but I definitely wanted more. What's the I keep forgetting how you guys do it.
So the highest you can give it is This Is Cinema, then below that is a peak, then below that is a tune in, then below that
I give it a very strong peak.
Okay.
Very very strong peak. I agree with Kristina. This movie should have been much longer than the first one. But
I would have stayed. It should have been one movie, in my opinion. I would have stayed for 6 hours. There are movies. I mean, KT Baldessaro of Movie Runtime did a TikTok explaining like there are like the longest movies in history, and there's like a movie that's like over 700 hours long.
Yeah, so I would have liked the movie. Actually, as much as I complain about runtimes and stuff in my old age, this movie I would have preferred to be longer, but it was very close to being cinema. I had a very strong emotional response to this movie.
Okay. What about you, Kristina? Final thoughts, rating?
Well, I forgot, but it's been 40 years since Margaret Hamilton, the original Wicked Witch of the West, passed away. And little did she know that 10 minutes of screen time would lead to a legacy. And Wicked for Good is part of that legacy. We got Gregor Maguire to thank. We got Steven Schwartz to thank. John M. Chu to thank. And, of course, Cynthia Erivo to thank. Again, this is a high peak for me as well. I agree it should have been longer. The political undertones were definitely there. They could have even went harder. But, with Trump these days, he probably would have found a way to ban the movie from being released if he found early screening. Songs were great. You could tell who was, Cynthia and Ariana were live singing, obviously. Could have been a little bit darker. Could have expanded a little bit more on Wizard of Oz lore. I'm ready for Wicked Part 3, A Line Among Men, starring Coleman Domingo as the Cowardly Lion. Let's go.
Okay. Wow. So 2 high peaks from you guys for Wicked for Good. I don't think I like this as much as I like the first one there. I don't think it's a terrible movie. there. If I had to say, I'd probably give it like a tune in. I think I gave the first one maybe a higher tune in or a peak. For the reasons I mentioned there, I think the songs just for me aren't as strong there, even though they're not terrible. I think there's some good ones there with that. I don't think this will be nominated for Best Picture like the first one was. I think, maybe it's a little step
You'd
down
be
from.
amazed. It doesn't seem like a strong Oscar season again, so this probably will be nominated.
Yeah. You think also Cynthia Erivo, Ariana Grande, maybe they'll get nominated? Best Actress, Best Supporting, maybe?
Yeah. And the songs could get best original. I'm hoping that they actually do like a medley with the Sinners cast, and then you get the cast of like obviously I think with this Oscars they're gonna have to really play on like Sinners and Wicked for Good. This would be a perfect opportunity for both casts to show off their talent. So a medley of I Lied to You, Rocky Road to Dublin. Like I'm ready. I'm ready for the
Okay.
Oscars already.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, maybe songs, things like that. Depending on who else shakes out, maybe you could see Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, maybe they get in there for that.
Best
I,
makeup too. It's kind of crazy though that Ethan Slater's makeup came out a lot better than Jonathan Bailey's makeup.
yeah, I thought the Tin Man looked. I think out of all of them, the Tin Man probably looked the best.
Look great.
Yeah.
That looked really good.
Yeah, and he looks more like how he does in the book, I guess, with the legs and the full body. Like he looks more like how he
Yeah.
does in the book there.
Yeah, they really again with a lot of the MGM copyright, they had to really go with like the material from the books, how they for how they can play out the makeup and looks of the characters.
Yeah. But yeah, so I just kind of give it a tune in for me there, with Wicked for Good. So spoiler talk real quick. So just to answer some of my questions as somebody who has not seen the musical, has not read the book on it. And so the big reveal, of course, we pretty much already talked about a little bit that Elphaba, she becomes the Wicked Witch of the West. She accepts her fate that she will always be the villain there of Oz, and the Oz needs a villain. There's nothing they can do to change that. They need a good guy, a bad guy, and she fits the description there. And she allows people to think that she died. We see all that kind of play out where Dorothy throws the bucket of water on her, and then she pretends like she's melting. But she didn't say like I'm melting. Did you want to hear that her say that, or they can't say that because of copyright? That
You
I'm
really can't say it because of the copyright. I mean, there's a
Okay.
lot of copyright where it's like, I mean, I'm surprised they actually were able to write a song called "No Place Like Home" and directly quote some stuff from the show, but from the movie. But at the same time, it's like the whole point of Wicked is as revisionist history, and the Wizard of Oz is considered propaganda.
Okay. So you see that. So she left like under like a trap door. She hid under there, and then let
Yeah,
people
because
come.
Fiera was telling her after they made love, he was like, "Come to my castle. There's a lot of trapdoors and hidden ways that you can hide in. It'd be great. Hang out with the monkeys. Also, the monkeys, realizing that she didn't intentionally try to hurt them, they're like, okay, we fuck with this bitch. She's cool.
Yeah, the monkeys. They were one of the few people in the whole movie that was like, well, okay, I got what you were trying to do, and maybe we're better off now than we were before. So yeah.
Yeah.
So and then Fiero, who's the scarecrow, get turned into the scarecrow. He comes and gets her, and then you see that she's still alive, and they go to a land, I guess, out of Oz. I don't know if you know what that's called. But they go to like this desert land there away
Yeah.
from.
I forgot what's called even in the Oz books. It's Alfred Baum talks about it, but that's where the animals were going to. I mean, like at Underground Railroad, they're going to the place beyond Oz, which, according to the wizard, you don't live. You don't live to when you reach there, you die, which is again more propaganda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So they go there. You see Glinda, so she's left back, radicalized, I guess you could say, a little bit by her friendship with Elphaba. She's
Yeah, I'm
able
surprised the
to.
Grimmery opened up for her. I was like, oh, the Grimmery. It's like it's like Thor's hammer. You are worthy. That's basically what it is.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So, that is going to lead into what the people there, what she can do is going to lead into one of my next questions about it. But, so yeah, so she does that. She stays back. She's radicalized by Elphaba. So she, is inspired by her. So she, lets the animals live amongst the humans again, and then, does that. She imprisons Michelle Yeoh's character, Marvel. She lets the flying monkeys take her away. Again, I don't exactly know how she would let her do this, and she can control the weather. I don't know why she just wouldn't use her weather controlling powers to, I don't know, do something. But she lets her do.
I think the monkeys are gonna start wearing pink or baby blue
Okay.
outfits now.
And then
And also,
also,
it was very sweet that Elphaba was teaching the monkeys how to speak too.
oh yeah, that was also a good thing there too. And with you learn that the wizard Jeff Goldblum is the father of Elphaba, and that
That
he
was
had no.
uncanny valley nonsense. I'm like, you had a better budget for that reveal.
Yeah, that looked
Yeah,
really
did
terrible.
not.
I was like, what the hell? I was like, I mean, I mean, I mean, you could have. I mean, they showed a photo of the guy from part one, right? Like behind the scenes, and they had the little dots on his face. I'm like, he looks like Jeff Goldblum. You didn't have to do like a direct Jeff Goldblum. Like he already looked like Jeff Goldblum. But the fact, I think the wizard is lying when he said he didn't know Elphaba was his daughter because he's like Elphaba Throb. Like he should know the last name of the woman he had an affair with. He was singing sentimental men about always want to be a family and gazing at her about being parental and she's green and like I'm like in the musical he knew all along. I think like if I remember correctly, he talks about her. He talked about the affair. If I remember correctly, but it's been 20 years since I've seen the show live. But it's like,
yeah. So he's the
don't play dumb
father,
with me, Jeff Goldblum.
and it kind of leads when you mentioned like so she's able to open the Grimwald with Glinda, where it's like so people of Oz, I guess, are they like a different species, I guess, than people
Yes,
like of Earth or something? Okay, so okay,
it's a fantasy world. It's very different. That's why she's magical. He's in the human world, and her mother's part of a fantasy world. That's why she has powers.
okay, so that's how Elphaba came out
You
green
got the
and
best. No, she came out green was because he was giving her some green elixir that they were drinking, some like alcohol, which he was drinking throughout part two because he couldn't handle the stress of the facade that he himself was trying to keep up with as well.
okay. So that's what happened there, and then she removes him from Oz as well, tells him to go somewhere
On the balloon, and I love how she's like, oh, and she's like, oh, it never ends with that girl, and I'm like, she didn't give a fuck. I think if I had still Ariana's contact, I would ask her, like, you watched Billy Burke in Wizard of Oz and knew that that Glinda was so like indifferent to Dorothy. She's just like, like I love that she's like she plays on that like Billy Burke's portrayal of Glinda in Wizard of Oz. Like she's very indifferent towards Dorothy. Like she's doing all this nonsense for nothing.
Yeah. So that was kind of I didn't expect that part of it. I knew that she was gonna survive, but I didn't know the wizard was gonna be her secret father there and everything like that. And so that kind of happened. So does it kind of do a good job at showing the ending like the musical, you guys think? Like, does it kind of do a good job at that, showcasing that?
Yeah, because in a weird way, everyone's happy, but unfortunately, Glinda still thinks Elphaba's dead. But Elphaba can't come back. There's no way to rehabilitate her image, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she gets what she wants. And Glinda, in a weird way, gets to live her friend's legacy without Oz knowing that, yeah, this woman actually cared. The reason why I care about the animals is because this wicked witch was caring about the animals. And it goes to show how quick people change. They believed immediately she was wicked, that animals were bad, and that they were the problem for why things were bad in Oz. But once Glinda said, come forward, I want all Ozians to be together, everyone's like, kumbaya. And I'm like, this is like the real world.
Yeah. And I love that number there with Jeff Goldblum when he says, like, well, even if I did admit who I was, people wouldn't believe because they're so attached to the lie of the wizard and they need who the wizard to be. So I did like that quite a bit there with that. Chris, would you want to see more in this universe, or you're kind of done with it? You think we should just leave it right here, or what do you think?
Chris and I are running a line among men together. Don't you know that?
Yeah, if there's I really love, especially if John M. Chu was at the helm. I like what he's done with these two films, and if there's more story to tell in this shared universe, sure, yeah, I'd be down. Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, there was one thing where Michelle Yeoh, she was doing, I don't know exactly what movements would you call that, where she summons the tornado and everything like that. She's doing all that. I don't exactly, I mean, how it connects to like how she's able to summon the tornado from Kansas and get swept up into Oz. Is there like, how do you get into, is there Oz? Is there like a doorway, or you just, it's
A
by
house.
accident?
A house is what happens. You know, I mean, you get caught up in a storm, or I don't know. Sometimes, you know how Stranger Things has the upside down.
Mm,
That's kind of how Oz is, in a weird
okay.
way. Like
Yeah.
if they did the Wizard of Oz today, Jonathan Bailey would be Hunk. Ethan Slater would be Hickory. You know, and Coleman Domingo, would be. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like even Cynthia Erivo would be a Mama Gulch. Like, there are some counter, like it's another reality.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. That just,
Madame Morrible was the real Wicked Witch all along. I mean, the fact that like she's the one who's really pulling the strings. Again, behind every man is a badass broad. Like that's she's the one who's really feeding. Like she's the one at the strings here. She's the one instead of the wizard. She's the one who actually has actual power. But like, there are people out there who cling on to grifters for their own advantage, knowing that they could help them get forward in the world. I mean, look Candace Owens and Kanye.
yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. So yeah, that was pretty much, everything pretty much Wicked for Good there. Yeah. So 2 peaks there from Chris and Kristina, and then just a tune in from me there with it. Anything else? Any other things that were there that you guys maybe want to talk about spoiler wise? With
We
Wicked for
could have
Good?
had more cameos. I was hoping to get Megan Helty and Shoshana Bean. Personally, they're my favorite Elphaba and Glinda. They ended up replacing Adina and Kristen on Broadway. I actually saw Annalie Ashford on tour, and she's had a career since Wicked. She's done shows and movies and other Broadway stuff. And I saw Carol Kane from Taxi as Madame Morrible. So, Wicked has had a legacy when it comes to creating stars, and I kind of wish that we have gotten more cameos from well-known. It would have been nice to see Joel Grey in a cameo because he originated the Wizard. So someone pointed out, they're like, "So you mean to tell me that in The Wiz, Michael Jackson plays Black Fiyero?" I'm like, "Yes, he does. Technically, he does. Yes, he is the prince. He's the king."
Gotcha.
Black Fiyero was hilarious.
He's dancing through life and winning, not losing.
Sure, dancing through life.
So that was our review for Wicked for Good.